In the simplest terms, free will is the ability to choose between different possible courses of action without the constraints of necessity or fate, basically acting as one's own discretion. Determinism, on the other hand, is the doctrine that all events, including human actions, are ultimately determined by causes external to the will, in that for every event, including human interaction, there are existing conditions that could cause no other event. Every human action is the inevitable and necessary consequence of the antecedent state of affairs. It comes down to this: does anybody have free will? Are we morally responsible for our actions? Is anything in reality fully deterministic? Let's put these questions to the test and see what we find.
Free will is merely the option to choose, and with free will comes the responsibility to love other people.
So, would you say that we are morally responsible for our actions?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you think reality could be fully deterministic?
As a scientist and an engineer, I can say no.
Ooh. Can you elaborate a little?
Well, reality is perceived, and with that, I can say that reality is based off of the person who actually perceives it. And with that in mind, my reality might be different from someone else's. So, reality is based off of the viewer rather than the person who's actually in the reality.
So, you believe in free will over determinism?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yes, everyone has free will in their life.
Do you care to elaborate?
Yes. Everyone has free will to do anything that they want to do. The only boundaries that are created in society are the boundaries that you create for yourself in your mind.
So, do you believe that we are morally responsible for our actions?
I think every action everyone takes should be accounted for by themselves and by their morality, yes.
Okay. Is anything in reality fully deterministic?
Absolutely not.
No?
Nothing in society is deterministic. Everything happens for a reason. Everything that you encounter is supposed to help you grow as a person, no matter if it's a positive or negative effect on your life. The only time that there is something that you need to learn is when you encounter a problem that is specific to your situation and that was meant to help you grow as a person.
Would you say your actions would be determined on that situation?
No, everyone has the free will to determine what their actions will be. Everyone has enough cognitive ability to choose what they want to do and what they don't want to do. There's a certain set of actions you can take, but you can and you are able to pick what action you can take.
I think that everyone has free will, and because free will is the freedom to just act on what you think is right or what you think you should be doing at a certain time. And I think that everyone has that ability and freedom. Whether or not they always choose to use that as their choice is arguable.
So, are we morally responsible for our actions?
Most definitely. I think that everything you do has a consequence, and for that, that's why you're morally responsible, because you get to have, there's multiple choices you can have in a certain scenario, and it's up to you to choose the one that you think is morally sound.
So, is anything in reality fully deterministic?
Fully deterministic? I don't think so. I think that there are certain situations that might seem like they're determined for you, but there's always other options, and so you can take those as well.
Say free will is your ability to make your own decisions. The ability to make your own decisions, how I would say free will.
Okay. So, are we morally responsible for our actions?
I think that everybody is responsible for their actions, because since you have the ability to decide what you're going to do, you should be held responsible for what you decide.
Is anything in reality fully deterministic?
I don't think so. I think that you always have a choice that you can make regarding things.
Okay.
After interviewing our subjects, we gathered some interesting material. Firstly, it is obvious that most of us, if not all, believe in free will, and that it does exist in human beings. Furthermore, our subjects also believe that with free will comes the responsibility for all of the decisions or actions we make in our lives, especially from a moral standpoint. Our subjects believe that we should be held accountable for our actions since it does originate from our own free will to act or not act. As for the deterministic side, our subjects also seem for the most part to agree that nothing is predetermined. There is no certain future. Instead, as human beings, we make the future with our own choices, which again stem from our own free will. In other words, we have the control, yet none of us have the definite answer as to whether we do or do not have free will, or if determinism is real or not real. With that said, it is important that we understand we still have moral responsibilities along with known or unknown and direct or indirect consequences, which arise in our everyday lives. Thus, whether we have the ability or not to change the future, at least we can have the understanding that there is good and bad to choose from.